Good evening. You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from an undisclosed location in a dead mall here in Central Florida. I've got RDV with me from the great Midwest. RDV, I'm a little exhausted because I had about 50 guys coming down the escalators with aluminum baseball bats and knives, and I had a Yakuza guy beating somebody up, and I was chasing the guy in the jacket, and man, I'm exhausted talking about it, but I'm looking forward to diving into the movie we're going to be talking about tonight, which is a martial arts movie I knew nothing about, and we were trying to find something that's called Bad City from 2022, and I don't know anybody in it. It's Japanese, a bit of a different tone than the past couple of films, a little bit than what we watched. Wow, I was taken aback by just how great some of the fight scenes were there. I was seriously, with what we've seen lately, I was quite stunned. This is a cop kind of drama, but it's got a shit ton of action in it, and it's the action that I love. So I'm slightly orgasmic over it, and I'm spent. So I want to, as I recover here, hear your initial thoughts.
Well, I did some research on as far as this goes for the actors on there.
Okay.
Hitoshi Ozawa is actually, he had a trilogy back in the early 2000s. He had three. And he's basically one of the Japanese action stars or drama crime stars.
Okay.
Let me look it up in the back here. I'm trying to look at IMDb, but yeah, he's supposed to be one of their toughest nails bad guys. You know, just like the Koreans have Don Lee, the Japanese have Hitoshi Ozawa.
Oh yeah, he's one of the bad guys in here with the long hair that we see a lot.
No, he's not.
No,
he's the main guy in the white hair.
Oh, excuse me. I got them backwards.
Yeah. The guy with the long hair in here you're talking about is Sakaguchi.
That's it.
Is one of he's actually a really cool, incredible stuntman. I was reading up about him too. He basically is, you see how fast he is in his movie. He's always been, since Milan, he's always had good really fast reflexes. So he's always been like a favorite in a lot of his older movies. But I was looking at a review, so someone who's more familiar with him. The guy said like this is like the first time he's ever seen him like as the best villain performance ever, because you see him with a knife in here,
yes,
and how fast he is with his knife.
Yes,
he's typically done samurai movies in the past, more fantasy stuff, but obviously this was just as well. I like this. It's been a good part for him, but the main guy, the cop. The one who's basically was in lockup.
With white hair, beating people up.
Yes. When you first look at him, you're like, oh, okay, I don't know what's going on with this movie. This guy looks old. He looks like, but he's only in his mid-60s. He's not that old. He's still in shape. I love that he wears the USA Air Force jacket because Japan.
I wondered what you thought of that, because it's like the leather jacket, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Leather's just cool.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So that was kind of cool seeing him in people doing that. Wearing because it's Japan. Because remember, Japan, they do love America. They love our culture. They love stuff. But overall, the main bad guy in this movie, I believe is let me look at it. His name is Lily Franky. He plays basically a mob boss who decides he's going to run for mayor after being acquitted for his crimes through a corrupt court. Kangaroo court, and he's going to eliminate all his competitors. Oh, sorry about that. So as he does this, well, the police, they get basically desperate, so they decide to go get Hitoshi, out of jail, bring him out, and need him to lead the strike force against the corruption, the gang stuff, and set the city back to basically where it being for the people and not for the mobsters. Kind of remind me. We watched that movie with I think it was Jackie Chan when they're in Kowloon. I think they're not Kowloon. Kowloon. I think it was the Walden City. Yep. I kind of get that with some of the fights in here, especially the
mall scene at the end.
Yeah, the mall scene at the end was really good. Like I said, this movie is more of a crime drama action. The first 40 minutes is kind of set up. You do get some fight scenes in there, but towards the end is really like the last 40 minutes is really get all the action, all the fight scenes. Like you said, it's kind of like in the sense kind of like the Raid, or they come first at night, wave after wave of bad guys, and they're all fighting. And it's believable because they're getting exhausted. The actors, they're getting knocked down. People are grabbing them. As soon as they get up, another one grabs them. You got the Yakuza working with the cops to help take down this corrupt, politician or crime boss and the whole syndicate to get revenge for their boss that was killed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun all the way through. Unfortunately, it is only in subtitles, which isn't that bad. Because it was well paced enough where I could actually read the subtitles and see what was going on.
Yeah, and I think too, look, if you're watching this for the plot, I think that does you a disservice. I mean, not that they're dismissive of it, because it's actually can be a little complicated when you think about it. But basically, you've got potentially evil, rich mega corporation guy who gets off in Japan, and Japan is a very specific way that you have to deal with people and the systems and all that over the years. So you see that early on and all that, and he's acquitted. But then he goes out there, and I thought this was interesting. He stands in front of everybody and says, "Hey, I know I've been acquitted of crimes, and I want to make it this city right because it's overrun with crime. It's a big megalopolis, and there's a big chunk of it that's really shit poor. So of course you're going to develop it, right?" And he wants to do it, so he says, "I'm going to resign my position and run for mayor," and that way he can hook his people up, right? So the guy sets up the task force with it, and we don't know these people too well, but we get them introduced somewhat efficiently in it, like with the one girl that's doing the interviewing that the guy calls out, and the friend of hers is the one on the crew. So what I liked here about it is there really wasn't any goofiness. There wasn't any stupid stuff. This is definitely an adult drama, if you will. But when you set up the secret task force and you, it sounds stupid. You break the guy out of prison. You don't break him out. You basically say, "Hey, dude, you come out here. You help us nail this guy here. We'll give you a pardon because we need you. We're every hitter." And we find out we're like, wait, this is an old guy. He's got white hair. He's got a leather jacket. He talks really slow, and he's an ass kicker, right? So not knowing that, watching it, you're going, he's got charisma. He really commands the scene. He seems like a man, and the others seem like young adults, not kids, but young adults. They treat him with reverence. Exactly.
Yeah, it's an action film with basically investigation.
Yeah. So the opening scene kind of sucks you in because it instead of talking about the violence and the stuff that's in there, because it's very gory graphic, I get a lot of things early on that I enjoy. You see nudity, you see blood, you see, I think, the one scene, the girl vomits on the crime scene. But you got a guy kind of sneaking into the Yakuza with the heavily tattooed guys and doing his bit, and you're like, "Oh, this crafty motherfucker, what's this all about?" And you get the whole plot hookup, which early you don't care about, but it's good enough where you go, "Boy, they're really not screwing around. They're really setting this up," because after it sucks you in with that action, setting up the task force, you go a few moments before you get action. So I had no problem with doing it, but wow, the look of the movie, everyone wasn't laughing, goofing. There was no stupid, corny one-liners or anything like that at all. Here's the thing. You and I've done a few Don Lee movies, right? And those seem more of like a fisticuffy kind of punchy sort of thing. And I don't know the names of all the martial arts. This one will talk more specifically about certain scenes, but I felt here they did a good job of, even though there were guns involved, they weren't really prominent in it, so you don't get fatigued by the sheer volume of fighting that you get here. Because the fight scenes, to me, RDV, even though they were different, which I think is always great because it makes you pay attention, I think they get a little bit longer as we go on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I said, it's kind of like, the way to describe it is if you're watching a zombie movie, but these aren't zombies. It's waves of bad guys with knives, baseball bats, chains or whatever, and they're out, and it's just like, and there's about 20 of them. If they're variation, it's like a video game in a sense, especially that mall scene to the end. And they're trying to make it through level after level. It's Streets of Rage, bro. That's basically the best way to describe it. Streets of Rage. You got good cops trying to make their way in with the help of the Yakuza, take down this guy who killed down the Yakuza boss, and also killed one of the cops, the detectives in here. So yeah, it's a slow burner at first, but like I said, if you realize that going in, it's a cop investigation scene. It's no different than watching a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, in a sense. There's a little bit less comedy, but it's still a good serious movie, and you can sit back and watch. You don't really have to turn your brain off for this. It's just fun.
Yeah, and Jean-Claude Van Damme is a favorite of ours. He's a good-looking man. He's naturally like the hero and all that when we see him in movies. And yeah, there's a little comic stuff in it. Here, it's just gritty. There's no sexiness to it or whatever like that, but it's not awful or anything like that, like a turnoff. And the first the first chance you really get to see old man here in the jacket, always looking like, he's getting ready to die, smoking cigarettes, which I personally love in the movie, is they're going up him and this like team, and they're going to this like apartment complex, and it's outside, right? And so he goes up there, and there's a bunch of people you can see that are kind of like ammoing up, right? And they're all wearing like white hats and shirts and all that too. And he comes in, he's got the black jacket over it, and he's got the megaphone. So you know how police officers, when they corral everybody, you must come out here, come out with your hands up, that sort of thing. He comes up there and you see him, and then he just, because it's a narrow pathway, and even though there's like 20 guys, he takes the megaphone, smashes dude in it. And I love the way it's filmed, because you get to see from the back of all the guys him making his way forward. And if they all have baseball bats, tough to swing in a short thing. So I respect the fact that they really did this well, because the thing that pisses me off the most, even though it can be done well, is I hate ninja style where a group of people surround you and everybody comes at you one at a time. Here you get heavy use of the collapsible baton, which is a motherfucker if you've ever had one in your hand and swung it. But I like how they did it, because it's fast, it's believable. I don't think they're speeding it up too much, and they got great camera shots too, where it's not constantly breaking. You get to watch them go through 5 or 6 people before there's a slight shift in the camera and stuff. This is a great fight scene.
Yeah, and speaking of the collapsible baton, that's been used in the Don Lee movies with what was it, The Outlaws, and then The Roundup, which we just reviewed.
Yes.
So, I kept thinking about it, I was like, why is everybody using where's the guns? Are we the only it was only America and France that have guns? The cops, it's like is this Asia just not? They don't believe in guns.
Yeah, what it is? You've got a Korean gang that's moved in, and there's a Yakuza, and that's like their home turf. And you got this blonde lady. She wears it looks like a wig to me or what like that, and she's kind of like the mob boss's daughter. So you don't really have Gang A versus Gang B. You also have like the Yakuza element in it, so you kind of don't really care about it. You know what I mean?
I got the sense that she was actually the mother of the son of the Don that was killed.
Yeah.
So she's got her own plots for revenge going on to help take down this guy and figure out who killed her son. Yeah.
There's a scene. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because we're led to believe that the murder of the Don's son, was actually done by Hitoshi Ozawa. He was pinned for the murder. He was arrested.
Yes.
But turns out towards the end, like, we get a flashback scene when he gets arrested. Well, of course, the more police corruption. The guy arrested him, but before he could, he gave what was the company a thumb drive, which has, because the son of the mafia don guy, Clay had been bragging that he had all the information he can to take down this mob leader who's now becoming wants to run for the mayor, and so that's why they murdered him, but only after they didn't realize that he didn't have the information. Yep. And it turns out the cop did. He just didn't know what was on it. Getting a chance to look at the thumb drive that was on like a little chain, he gave to the cop before he got arrested. So a lot of moving hands, a lot of cool stuff. I like that they waited to the end to kind of fill you in, but you kind of had an idea of the because throughout the movie he's asked did you murder him? What's it to you?
Right. Yeah. There's you'll see these things play out because this movie does a good job of not talking you to death with the plot and everything. You get just enough. But like, for example, when I say that when you have different fight scenes and everything too, whether it's not just the location, sometimes you change the style because of the people involved or the techniques or the stunts involved. And we've talked about with Jackie Chan, right? We said you're going to get the parkour, you're going to get this, you're going to get that, you'll get something cute, you'll get furniture. Here, I didn't really know what to expect because, again, you started off with a bunch of lackeys that have the aluminum baseball bats. There's another scene a little bit later as they're getting further in where they're going to, it looks like kind of like a fish warehouse sort of whatever, because there's a boning knife in the middle of the fish. And, they open them up and they got their guns. There's a bunch of people and there's this big knife fight.
Yeah. And Sakaguchi, get to see him again. He saw him in the very beginning. He was walking the raincoat and then shot these two guards.
Yeah.
And then you don't see him until this, and he's just chopping up a fish.
Well, the beauty of it is the fight's going on, and he's in the way it's there. You see him in the background, and then everybody's fighting. He walks up to the boning knife and the fish, takes it out, he starts doing it. And this is where you start seeing his hand movement and the waving around and all that. And there's just some great shots of him. What it's doing is showing, okay, the young girl on the team is a bit noobish, not stupidly so. I would say she's brave. I'm not going to say necessarily.
She's still green.
green is a good word, unseasoned. And the other guy's got really fast hands too, not the biggest guy in the world, and they're going out for fights. But basically, with all the fighting going on, they all kind of get separated. They get overwhelmed a little bit.
Yeah.
He goes off, and he's got like this leopard thing in it. She follows pursuit. And this is, I thought, a really great scene that made me go, this just isn't a, hey, let's kill off somebody useless kind of scene or whatever like that, because they don't kill her off.
No.
But she's chasing them, and she gets stabbed. She almost dies.
Yeah. Katsuya is the detective. He basically goes, he's like, stupid girl, don't chase him. He goes after her.
Yeah.
And because of her, he ends up getting killed.
Yes. And what he does, being a protector, is he's holding it off, and there's a great shot of her laying on the ground looking up at him getting gutted basically, and like, hey, this killer is not fucking around, and he's not talking. He's just got the toothpick going on. He eviscerates this guy, and you're like, I kind of didn't see that coming, to be honest. But her eyes, when she's looking up, the way the camera is just sort of fading out, and you realize, you know what? She wasn't stupid where you're yelling at her like she deserved it. It was a good way to set up the connections between them.
Well, yeah, especially harder than the actual the bonding between Hitoshi Ozawa, who plays basically Torada. He's the captain. Comes in and what's going? Why are you crying? He's like, and then he sees the body, and then she wants to run. He grabs her, he slams her on the table, and he says, "What are the 3 rules of being a detective?" And and this is basic key, because this is what the guy who just died.
Yeah, this
tried to inform her.
Yeah,
he said, "Don't puke on the crime scene," which she did originally when we first introduced to her.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one was "Don't cry," and then the last one he says, "Don't take a life for granted."
Yeah,
and I said that was a nice serious moment, like basically the bonding. I said this kind of feels like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. The way that's written, the dialogue, everything. I kept thinking is like, this would be an older Jean-Claude Van Damme coming in here and be like, and at the end we'd have a kick scene. But no, I actually like this for what it was. It's not too much martial arts. I mean, there's some. It's choreography, obviously. The main flips and kicks you're gonna get from the air is gonna be from the Sakaguchi, who I guess I was looking at his IMDb and stuff, looking stuff he did before. His first introduction was a movie called Versus, which was kind of a fantasy, but he also gets to use a samurai sword in here too. So we might have to look at that. But
well, it's about a 2-hour-long movie, so you get a chunk of plot development and all that, and it's also basically a chance to recharge, right? This is when you'd be like, I'm gonna go grab some popcorn, take a leak or whatever, and you don't really care what you miss and all that. But what it's building up to is pretty much what we like to say, the boss battle, the final battle. We've seen that, you're right, he dies, but the 2 people on a team, now they're no longer green, in the sense that they're committed. They have the one final bonding thing with the captain, basically. He's like, it's time to say goodbye. And they're like, but you'll get slaughtered. And so they end up going together with a small group of people. And the location is a mall, like basically after hours. And I wasn't prepared for this, because you and I have seen big set pieces, right? We've talked about them before and everything here. But what I really liked about this here is that you get a sense of kind of impending doom. They've lost somebody that you weren't really that close to watching, but you felt his loss with everybody else. And I love that a lot of Japanese bad guys are wearing nice suits and everything else there too, looking somewhat, white collarish. But here you got the police people in there. You think they're the underdogs because, 1, they're outnumbered. 2, they're coming in from the ground level. All the bad guys are on the second floor, and they're dressed nice, right? It's that caste system, right? That you talked about.
They're dressed like like they just got out of Walmart or Gander Mountain or something. So
they look like they've been through hell, and they have.
Yeah, all the bad guys all have the henchmen have tracksuits on. I noticed that.
Tracksuits are tremendous, and that's like an 80s thing. I can't explain to people enough how magnetic tracksuits are.
The goons had those, but then like the main bad guys always wear the nice suits and other fancy suits to show that they're upper class, that they're not, everyone's beneath them.
But it also, you don't necessarily need to see a physical display of power, because when you go up high in the evil corporate layer, when you go up, you're above everybody, figuratively, literally. That's power enough that separates you from the lowly masses, right? I love the fact how the evil bad guys in here, there's no angry speeches, there's no this, that, there's no psychotic speech, there's no bullshit Bond villain crap, right, that they make wimpy, right? You see the main henchman kind of guy who's just obviously a superior fighter, so you're looking forward to him in the final fight. You think it's going to happen with him and white-haired older guy, but as this thing comes in, they're like, they walk in there and all the guys are coming up and you see them come down everything off the escalators and all that. And what I try to do when I watch a scene like this is I just watch it as a fan, watch what goes on, see what patterns I notice, and then I just try to be conscious of where my eyes are going, which usually is the center of the screen. Then I try to go back later after I've watched it and go, let me watch everything except the center and see if I see anything glaring. But this is done so well with a lot of single camera shots that might be rotating back and forth, to your point, very well choreographed, that it doesn't look like they're half-assing the stuff going on in the background. And ninja style, I have to say this, I mentioned it earlier. There's a couple points in here where people, the good guys, some of them individually get overwhelmed by the sheer numbers, and there's some great shots of them because you don't have one guy doing while everybody stands around waiting for their turn to come in. That's bullshit.
No, they're all running.
I love that about here. And it's a combination of the two weapons we saw earlier, the baseball bats and then the knives for the most part. And I really, really like that because we already saw them. We saw how capable he can be with it. But guess what? This is when the guy and the girl that are kind of pissed they lost their partner and all that. We've seen this guy. He's got fast hands. Now he's got the baton and he's getting into it. This is a struggle. It's not like they just take care of these guys. It's a fantastic fight scene.
Yeah, the fight scene we get well with I said with Hitoshi and Tak, basically those two fight in the hallway scene, and eventually, Hitoshi gets the upper hand, gives him a few rib shots, and then the other two come in after the Yakuza guy says, "Go, I got this," and he's got a baseball bat and he's having a good time. He's just like, let me hit more people with a bat. I love it. So a little bit of comedy, but they come in and he's like, all right, watch this guy. He's a tough guy. He almost gives the guy a compliment after he kicked his ass. I love that about him. So these two, the girl and the guy, basically have to keep Tak from getting go, and they have a huge problem with that because he's just outclassed him and everything, fighting style.
Yes.
I mean, the point gets out because it's romantic, but he hits the girl down, and she's laying there, and then
basically,
she's laying there unconscious. The other guy is basically, he sees the gun, but he knows that Tak hasn't seen the gun, so he's trying to hold him, he kicks the gun to the girl, and he's like, basically, get up. She finally gets up, and he holds, and she shoots the Tak in the chest multiple times, and that's how they take him down.
Yeah. They basically really didn't win the fight, if you think of it in that terms, because they couldn't defeat him.
They couldn't defeat him, so they had to cheat by holding him still. They could shoot him.
Yeah. What I thought was interesting was I liked how these two get a chance to get the revenge on it. Now, part of you might go, how good are they? Can they do it? 2-on-1, you think they might have a chance, but you go, hey, she's 110 pounds. He's maybe 140, but he's fast as hell. And you're right. They have the gun. The guy doesn't. But it's a great battle because they barely win. It's not like it's a clear-cut thing or any stupid thing. However, I would say, honestly, as much as that's very engaging, is the main bad guy that's got the glasses and he has the trench coat on and the suit goes up against white-haired guy who's been beat up a little bit, and they fight and they fight and they fight and they change styles, and there's some scenes where they do like, I'm going to punch you, but I just hold my fists there because, your timing stuff and all that. They clearly changed no less than 2 times, maybe 3 times in here, styles and abilities with things while they're fighting, and it's a tough thing. And the main bad dude here that's just kind of emotionless, and you see him twirling around, and he's got the trench coats flying in his jacket that he uses at one point. There's a lot of infighting stuff in here that, like, if you're an MMA guy, you go, okay, he's got mount, he's got guard, so what are we doing? We're trying to rub elbow strikes there. You see a lot of shots to the temple where they're trying to do it. The gun doesn't work. Glasses get knocked off. They keep fighting. There's no pause. There's no, looking at people's stupid stuff. This is fast and this is violent. This makes you want to get into a fight. This is really great to watch here. And it's not with a bunch of people there watching or any high stakes thing like someone's going to fall for 2 people beating the shit out of each other trying to get the upper hand. And it's a super close battle.
So it's funny. I was looking at the cast, and I was like, the guy and the girl cop, he's Yoshiyuki Yamaguchi. We call him Baton Cop. He's one of the kids Baton. You know what he's more famous for?
What?
Kamen Rider. the popular show, about the what is basically it's like the Power Rangers, but differently. He turns into like a grasshopper, cricket, whatever.
Right.
So he's more famous for known for that. Because I was like, because I'm wondering, because I'm like, that guy, he's got some moves down. He looks like a more affordable opponent. He's not just another extra. He looks formidable. So it's interesting to see that he actually got a role in this. So it's kind of cool. Because Kamen Rider is really huge over in Japan, and it's been kind of popular here too, along a lot of the weebs. But anyway, though, yeah, this is a fun movie. Definitely check it out if you haven't done so. You can watch this for free on multiple places. You can watch it through Tubi, Pluto TV, Roku channel, Plex.
Daily Motion.
Daily Motion if you want to go that way. You really don't have to, but you can go through Peacock, and if you want to buy it, you can buy it through Fandango, through Apple TV for like $5. Fandango's $4. Amazon Prime probably has it for free. I'm not sure though, because I know it's a Haya production, which is basically you can subscribe to. Actually, I was reading about that through Amazon. I was like, what is this Haya thing? They have a lot of martial arts there. It's a streaming service for $4 a month. You have access to all these different martial arts movies you can watch, and it looks pretty cool. It's called Haya, HI, and then a dash, and then whatever. Really, it's like I said, it's a really cool website. I'll have to check that out more, see a little more of the movies. But for $4 a month, ain't that bad.
Yeah, I'm impressed, and obviously, if you're a fan of these kinds of movies, you might know the actors better than we do, and all that too. Like again, we usually watch stuff. A lot of times, if it's something unique like this, it's maybe a first watch for us. That's kind of cool because I got to tell you, I try to go away from the comedy, goofy sort of stuff. I'm interested in physical motion, less guns, the better. As far as I'm concerned, I love weapons. I mean, all the older stuff that we did that we talk about in the '80s, going from martial arts to guns and explosions, all that might kind of gets a little less to me or whatever. And I really appreciated the good guys, the bad guys, everybody in here, and the fighting that they did, even the jabronis in the back that are there to get their ass beat or whatever like that. They did a much better job, I think, with choreography in terms of making it seem like it was a tough, difficult fight and battle.
So I like this because this leaves the movie ends basically with the good guys winning, the bad guys going to jail. Actually, no, he doesn't, because he gets just desserts, because remember we talked about the lady, the blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who's running for mayor, basically they caught him. They got the evidence. He's been arrested. He's been held away from the cops. He gets stabbed in the back. No one sees it. Where the last scene we see after that is basically with the lady in her car, and they decide that they're gonna leave. Because we didn't really talk about her as much, but we she obviously is the mother of the original mafia guy that was murdered. That set up this whole entire thing. His blonde madam. Yeah, the blonde madam. She had visited her son's wife, who basically was someone, because she's upper class. She never really liked her son. She was Korean.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't like the fact that her son was married to a Japanese woman, but she ends up meeting his son's widow, and then seeing her grandson of this. So that's not part of the movie. But after that, the bad guy's gonna whack. Now she got her revenge. They leave town. We see the crew, the main crew, Hitoshi Ozawa and the rest of them, and the other two show up while he's in prison again, and they basically said, like, you know what, you're free to go. You're cleared of murder. And they reinstated the actual task force. So it leaves it set up for a sequel if they really wanted to do another one.
It's one of those things where you go, I would intrigued by a sequel in that, again, the movie surprised me. I thought it was great. Even though they do the right thing and it's like a 2-hour movie, so you might feel like it's a little slow in parts, I guess, or maybe you go, hey, a little less strong, a little more action, or just a shorter movie. I can understand that point of view. It didn't necessarily bother me here. I don't know if it really helped, because at the end of the day, I didn't hate the characters. I thought they got along well, but I don't know how much I was emotionally invested in them. I thought the one guy, dying to kind of make the other two kind of promote themselves from being green to being, not revenge takers, but, okay, the shit's real now kind of thing. I thought that was really cool. I just don't know how much I've really cared about those two and want to see them, because to me, obviously the main thing here is the bad guy, and it's also a white-haired guy. They steal the show. I mean, that's what it is, and that's what you want to see. You get a lot of it. I'm happy with that. I don't know what would warrant another one, but by the same token, I'd be like, okay, based off of this, I would give the second one a shot. Absolutely. Sometimes you're like, yeah, give me that fucking sweet sequel, or I know it's set up for that. The movie's just a setup for the sequel, really, and that's the one movie I really want to see. I don't know, but I tell you, I didn't know too much about this film. God, this is what I talk about. Why doesn't America do martial arts movies? Come on.
Yeah, so far they've never announced a sequel for it yet. This is 2022, so there would have been. It just came out on was it 2023? It came out on Blu-ray and everything. So, except wasn't a really widespread, or I guess talked about movie. We came across this by random on Tubi TV.
This reminded me of what we would call like an adult film from like the 70s or 80s. I know I always talked about Charles Bronson a lot. We've done a few of his films just in terms of, hey, I don't want to fuck with this guy, even though he's older, right? And Death Wish movies get watered down, let's be honest. But there's a certain tenseness and seriousness to them that I liked. You get something like that in here. Bad City should tell you everything you need to know. It's bad people, it's corruption, this and that. Yeah, we kind of don't really care about the Koreans versus the Japanese and the Yakuza. But what I liked with the Yakuza is we forget that, they usually chop off one of their pinkies, right? A certain one, or they get heavily tatted, and you see all that. So I don't want to see everybody in the strip club all the time, although we're missing strip clubs heavily in all movies and business deals going down. You see them what they do, bathhouses and everything else there too. They show you that they're Yakuza, not because of what they're doing, but because of how they culturally like to spend their time, and that's important. And I thought that was a nice way to go, yeah, this is a Japanese movie. We're letting you all motherfuckers know this is, in case you just think it's an Asian film. No, it's Japanese.
No. And so the director of this, actually, Kensuke Sonomura, I'm probably butchering really bad. I apologize. He's the director of, I just realized he's the director of the movie. It was on our recent poll, The Machine Girl, which he directed in 2008. So I'm curious to check that out. Like I said, it seems like when I looked at through when I originally put it on the poll, I skimmed through it because it's also on Tubi as well. Dark cinema, nothing really light. So I mean, it seems to be a popular theme for a lot of these action sci-fi movies.
Yeah, I mean, the one we did before, the Baby Assassins, it's different. I think the Korean ones feel different too. The couple that we've done. I mean, so. It's just, that's why we do it, right? It's hard to tell them apart sometimes until you sit down and go, yeah, this one's a little different than this one because of this or the fighting, and that's what's fun trying to compare these things.
It's kind of, it kind of reminds you of Tiger Cage, the first one. A little bit dark, and you're watching for Donnie Yen, and then Donnie Yen gets shanked in it. I was like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. But I mean, it was about corruption, all stuff too. He had a lot of fight scenes. So honestly, I look forward to looking at more some of these older movies, especially some more Japanese action movies. And we've been doing a lot of Korean stuff. The last time we did anything was basically like through Hong Kong and stuff. But I mean, I want to look at some more like actual Japanese crime stuff. I know Jackie Chan was in a serious one where he becomes like a mob boss. It was more a drama, but there's still some fighting in it though.
Right.
So I want to check out some more of that stuff. But
I like the more kind of violent, darker stuff like Japan seems to have it. I'm not saying Korea doesn't, but we all have our tastes, right? So yeah, I was surprised by this film. It's surprisingly good. The action scenes were just, it was refreshing. It was like having a really great meal, and you're like, man, that hit the spot. Yeah, I needed something like that, right? Especially after watching Baby Assassin.
Whenever I watch like the Japanese animes, there's always one guy who's watching like these hard criminal, like movies like this. And he's like the cops are like really real tough as nails. So that's when I saw this guy Hitoshi. I was like, oh my gosh, the tropes are true.
All right, my camera without the jokes or whatever. I guess I don't know. All right, final thoughts, RDV.
Final thoughts, man. If you've never seen this movie, at least give it a try. Check out some of our movies we've done on this. Got a whole playlist of different martial arts stuff catered to your guys' tastes. If you guys have any suggestions, maybe you've seen this movie and hey, you like this movie, check out this movie too as well. Let us know down below in the comment section. Also, if you haven't done so, subscribe. please do that. And also check out our other playlists, our other movies, and because we really do need the watch time. I know we're over 1,000, but we're not monetized until we get the 4,000 hours. So you guys can just go back and just put us on in the background if you want to.
Yeah, we'll put up a new poll here soon too, of a couple more films, and we're going to continue. We've only got a couple more episodes left of Forever Night to do that before we transition to something else for the next round of a movie or a TV watch. So I may do something solo this Sunday live with Pixel being out. If anybody has any suggestions or want me to just cut loose on something, give me a suggestion. I know I did Ninth Gate recently. I was thinking about doing Eyes Wide Shut because they're kind of similar. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but it's a film that gets derided a lot, just like Ninth Gate, especially by people that maybe haven't seen or something like that. And it's been long enough that maybe people don't.
If you want to pull up, it'll be you reviewing by yourself because I'm out Sunday as well.
That's right. It is Super Bowl Sunday. That is correct.
Yeah.
God, I'm a Redskin guy, so I hate Philly, but I can't stand Kansas City more. So this is what we call a hate watch, right?
Well,
predictions for the game, sir. Who wins?
For not me, but I mean, well, as long as Mahomes and his Taylor Swift crew don't decide to basically buy the refs again, I honestly, I'm rooting for the Eagles because I'd rather have the Eagles win than have Mahomes win it 3 times.
Bring it home to the NFC. Bring it home to the NFC East, the beast of the East, as we used to call it back in the day. And everybody take your batons out and beat the shit out of all the Swifties and take out their quarterback early on. I'll give you a $50,000 bounty for that 15-yard penalty early on that takes his kneecap out, right? That's what they would have done the old days.
I know. For
but
me,
I don't think we're going to get it. I think it's going to be very sanitized and watered down, unfortunately.
I haven't liked the Eagles since I watched the movie Invincible with Mark Wahlberg.
You know, we'll fight about that one. That's a true story, sir. It's the Rocky of football.
It pretty much is.
You know what? You know what I want to say last, RDV?
Yes.
Good night now.
All right, guys. Thank you all for being here, and we just hope you guys had fun. And we'll just want you to remember, always stay extreme. Wah!